All right. Okay, guys, let's do this. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning market update for Wednesday, July the 31st. It's the last day of this month. I can't believe how fast this year has gone by. And it's an awesome day today to be trading. There's going to be a lot of volatility, and we're going to trade this live with you guys. All right, so what's so important about today? Today is Fed's FOMC meeting rate decision. So what takes place here this morning is the Federal Reserve started their meeting yesterday. Today is day 2, and at 2 p.m. Eastern time, the Federal Reserve will announce their interest rate decision. This has been a really big event that everybody has been waiting for in the markets. This is going to be the first potential rate cut in over a decade for the Federal Reserve. You guys will remember they started to cut rates with the recession in the housing market in 2008. And in 2009, rather, was the first rate cut in a long time. And since then, they've been raising rates. However, today, the important thing is that the Fed's going to cut. And when you look at the probabilities at the moment, there's a 78.1% chance they do one rate cut, which is 25 basis points, and 21.9% chance that they're going to do two rate cuts or 50 basis points, because they usually move their interest rates a quarter of a percentage at a time. All right. So this is interesting because if you add those numbers up, there's a 100% chance, market implied odds, by the way, there's a 100% chance that there's going to be a rate cut of some sorts. What we don't know is if it's going to be 25 basis points or 50. At the moment, the stock market's factored in a 78.1% chance of just one. All right. So first and foremost, the question is this: what will Jerome Powell do? What will the other Fed voters have come to an agreement from the past 2 days of their meeting? And if they decide it's only going to be one rate cut, that's the expected figure in the market. So there's going to be a little bit of reaction. Obviously, there's always going to be volatility, but that's going to be the known outcome. All right. More importantly, the odds used to be more in favor. At the moment, it's only 21.9% of two rate cuts. But if you go back, let me just move this so I could see. If you go back to just 1 week ago, it was 23%. If you go back 1 month ago, there was a 32.3% chance of two rate cuts. Now, why is that important? Well, here's the deal. Since Donald Trump's been putting pressure on Jerome Powell to cut rates, all right, you said if Jerome Powell had acted swiftly, the Dow Jones would be up another 10,000 points more than this today. All right. Since Donald Trump's been putting pressure on him, at the same time, all central banks around the world are in at least a pause environment, which is the first time in years that all central banks haven't been raising rates. In fact, Mario Draghi was dovish, meaning that in the future, he said that there isn't going to be rate increases. He did refer to potential rate cut as well, more bond buying. So there's more global stimulus happening. And Jerome Powell is in a pretty tough situation here because, number one, he has pressure from his boss, which is Donald Trump, to cut rates more. That's very obvious. But number two, the economic data that's come out hasn't really supported the need for a rate cut. And if you know what that means, it means GDP came out stronger. The jobs report were really strong last month after missing the month before. So from an economic standpoint, this rate cut is completely unnecessary. If you just look at it on paper and have a look at the decision, it's a bit of a head scratcher. This could very easily be a policy mistake, but there will be a rate cut today. All right, at least one rate cut of 25 basis points. Now, you're going to ask, well, why are they cutting rates if the economy is so great? One reason alone: the Federal Reserve works for the stock market and not the economy. What they're going to look to justify this as is a preemptive insurance cut. But if it's going to be an insurance cut, that's why market's only pricing in 25 basis points. If they do a two cut or 50 basis points, that's a lot more dovish. And in the press conference, by the way, the interest rate decision is at 2 p.m. The press conference starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. The press conference will have more volatility in today's FOMC meeting rather than the interest rate statement and announcement, because that's pretty much known. The question now is, how will Jerome Powell justify this? All right. And the base case is this: one rate cut. Jerome Powell is going to go in there, say the strength and inflation numbers that are coming out are transitory. You might mention that word. It's a very important word, meaning that they're transitioning from a stronger economy to one that's slowing down, and the future seems a little bit less likely. All right, not less likely. The future is going to happen. The future seems a little more uncertain is the right words. So how he justifies this interest rate decision is going to be super important. How he guides the future of how the economy is going to look, what their policy is going to be like, how they're going to adjust. All right, will they cut more rates over time? Will they cut less than expected? These decisions are literally going to create massive movements in the markets, and the market's going to hang on to every single one of his words. All right, so it's going to be super important this afternoon. If you're a swing trader and you have longer term positions, tighten those stops. All right, if you're a day trader, this is prime time. We're going to have a huge opportunity. Last time we traded this event in the elite room, there were people who made 10 points plus in literally 15 minutes. We are going to trade this event live with all of our elite members. It's a great time to join the elite team. It's going to happen at 1:45 p.m. Eastern. We're going to break everything down for you, how we're going to trade it, what assets are going to move, how they're going to respond, etc. So today's a blockbuster day. The surprise scenario will be 2 rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. That's going to catch markets off guard. Under that scenario, gold's going to skyrocket, the US dollar is going to dump, and the stock market's a little less predictable. What tends to happen in these Fed events is that when Jerome Powell's dovish, the stock market will go up the day of, and then it'll absolutely get hammered the next 3 days. So, like somebody just said, buy the rumor, sell the news. This rate cut is already priced in. So there's going to be some movement to the upside in equity markets because they say, hey, rate cut means cheaper borrowing costs. But in the longer term, as the market sifts through that announcement and lets it sit for a little bit, they're going to realize that a rate cut is not a good thing. It's not good for the economy, and it's not a good suggestion that the Federal Reserve is doing an insurance cut because, I mean, they're insuring against something. They're worried. All right, so this is going to be a huge report. We're going to trade it, give you more breakdown at 1:45 p.m. in the elite trading room. But what you need to know is this afternoon is going to be massive volatility on the back of this event. All right. Base case, 1 cut. Surprise scenario, 2 cuts. Markets are going to go crazy if there's 2 cuts. Yesterday, Apple reported their third quarter earnings. Shares are up 4.5% after hours and pre-market here today. They beat Wall Street estimates on revenue. All right. CEO Tim Cook said there's a marked improvement in Greater China, which drove the results higher. Remember when for those of you that have been on this YouTube update for a long time, remember a few months ago when Apple said we're not going to report any more iPhone figures? And I told you this is the peak growth of iPhone sales. From here, it's going to go down. Apple's got to have to do something to account for the lost revenue they're going to have in iPhone sales. If they weren't going to sell less iPhones, they would still report the number of iPhones they sold. I told you that was troubling. Here's the news. iPhone sales down 12% year over year. All right, they're not selling as many hardware units, which I told you was going to happen the second they said they're not going to report unit sales anymore. However, revenue and growth in all of its other business lines were there, so it's super positive, including iPad and Mac. All right, and also confirmed they're going to launch a credit card in partnership with Goldman Sachs in 1 month. So there's a little bit of buzz around the open from Apple, and the technology sector is getting a bit of a lift. And at the same time, markets are prepared for this big Fed announcement. Apple reported 218 per share versus 210 on 53.8 billion of revenue versus 53.3. Their gross margin, or the amount of money they make per dollar that's sold, slipped a little bit to 37.5% from 38.3, but their services margin increased from 61.8 to 64.1. So you're seeing a change of Apple moving more into services than it is a hardware maker. And that's a key moment if they're going to continue to deliver growth. All right. iPad revenues are up, iPhone revenues are down. Services revenue up 11.5 billion versus 10.2 billion year over year, so up about 1.3. All right, Greater China revenue comes in as expected, and the biggest growth in Apple was their wearables and home accessories, which is Apple TV, Apple Watch, Beats, their headphones, and anything else is third-party accessories that are Apple branded. Came in at 5.5 billion revenue versus 3.7. Huge beat in that category. It's giving Apple investors confidence for the long term. All right. In today's market, Japan's down 1%, Hong Kong down 1.3, China down 0.7, India flat. Trade talks with Robert Lighthizer and Steven Mnuchin in China yesterday concluded with no actionable outcome. It's a little bit of a disappointment for the market, but that's expected. Right? The deal wasn't expected yesterday. Anyone that expected it was just too optimistic. All right. In Europe, a midday, London's down 0.7%. Paris flat, Frankfurt up 0.3. Futures in the U.S., Dow and S&P up 0.3%. Nasdaq's up 0.4%, obviously driven by the excitement around Apple and tech sector stocks. Crude oil is up slightly. Gold's flat. Gold will have huge movements today in the Federal Reserve announcement, and Bitcoin's up 2.7%, but still below 10,000. Another big news report this morning is the July ADP employment change. It came out 156,000 versus 150, slight beat, and this is a precursor to the more important jobs report taking place this Friday. All right, the non-farm payrolls. It's a huge week, but I think the non-farm payrolls are going to be less important this week because that data has already been invalidated by the fact the Fed's going to make a decision 2 days before. So whatever happens on Friday, there's going to be movement, but it's not going to be as important of a report as it typically is. It's front-loaded to today's FOMC meeting, if you will. All right. In the ADP numbers, small businesses are up, medium businesses are up, large businesses are up, gains across the board, new jobs have been added, and that gives us some excitement for Friday's non-farm payrolls. But look at this, another contention point here for the Federal Reserve. They're cutting rates and employment numbers continue to get better. All right, so Jerome Powell's under extreme pressure today to explain himself. Why are you cutting rates if the economy is getting better? All right, and having his goal basically is they prep these guys ahead of time when they do these news conferences. They pretty much told them, talk a lot, but say very little. Say nothing, reveal no information. All right, don't be too dovish, don't be too hawkish. Stay right in the center, and that's his task. All right, his job to tell you as little information as possible while telling you why what they're doing is great. All right, that's the day ahead. Super busy. 10:30. We also have. Devin, that was you who said buy the rumor, sell the news. Devin's awesome, guys. One of our members actually, and it's a very smart statement from a TRADEPRO member. Today we also have the oil inventory report at 10:30. Where in 1 day of your whole week you could make your weekly income. It's super volatile. There's a lot of opportunities there. So you have oil news, you have Fed news this afternoon. Blockbuster day for day trading. It's going to be great. Our group's going to do it together. All right, so let's kick this thing off. Now you know what you need to watch for. Manage your risk. Trade like a trade pro. If you're a swing trader with longer term positions, tighten those stops. You don't want to take too much risk because in a Fed event, it could whipsaw up and come right back down. So expect to see volatility and prepare for it. Usually we do the 3 rules of decreased volatility. This morning, I'll tell you guys this. On Fed days, the market before the Fed is extremely quiet on super low volume. Because who the heck's going to be out there putting thousands of lots on the minis when you have an announcement in the afternoon? If you look at volume, there's just over 187,000 contracts traded so far, which is very low. It's anemic volume because everybody's waiting for the Fed to make their next move. All right. That's what I got for you guys. Hope you enjoyed the day. Got a little bit of a tan. How do you know if it's a tan or a burn? Put your finger on your skin and it goes white like this. It's a burn. Let's call it a burn. Man, this sun out here in LA is aggressive. It's hot. There must be some ozone layer missing here. All right, so you guys have a great day. I got to open up the trade room. This morning market update's a little longer than I wanted, but there was a lot of info to cover. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, leave us a comment, and enjoy the rest of your day in the morning. Greg, that's not a bad decision. Go back to sleep and come back for the FOMC meeting. It's going to be slow. Careful this morning, expecting a lot. Instead of having expectations, expect that you're going to take advantage of any opportunity, even if it's a little opportunity. Don't overexert. Don't blow out your daily loss total or your daily loss maximum before the FOMC or news report. Keep it tight. All right. Manage your risk. Trade Pro. See you tomorrow. Have a great day and good luck on the Fed announcement and interest rate decision. If you want to trade with us, check out the Elite package. We'll be trading it live together this afternoon. Take care. Goodbye and have a great day. Ciao.